how are you? I hope you are fine. It's me, Michael Cesar de Santa, and I am here with you. Okay? As thumbnail and title, you are going to see. Oh, I have said it did at the first point, and now here we go. When we are talking about with our brothers, I mean, an honorable Indian richest man, Mukesh Ambani. Well, he is the richest man in the time when I am shooting the segment of day zero. Okay. Well, as a day zero, we are shooting like that, and here I am going to find some things. And what is the new things? Well, let me tell you something. Well, this is not a new thing for now. Well, this is actually, well, GST on education, what we are talking on the points. Well, we are talking on the, I have almost one live stream in the topic of the GST on Indian educations. Well, now as a thumbnail, and you have seen my one live stream in about the Indian education. You have to know that recently you always know that Nirmala Sitharaman, the Honorable Financial Minister of India, applied 18% GST on Indian education. Well, she did not apply GST on foreign education. What is the ratio? What is the cost? The cost is that, well, as foreign education is in the foreign country. Well, and now I am a Muslim woman. If I would like to study in Saudi education, I have to go to the University of Saudi Arabia. If I have to study on in American educational college, well, I have to go to United States of America. Particularly, I have to go to the New York. But perhaps here is a teeny problem, and that is I have to go to washroom for now. Well, students, well, just I would waste for 10 times. I would waste 10 times. Okay. Well, I'm worried. Oh, it is recording. Well, that's good. Well, and now here we are concerned that our Indian financial minister would say something negative for us. Well, and why I am saying like that, it is clear. Well, and here is the point, as we know, Nirmala Sitharaman, a communist financial minister of India under the government of Bharatiya Janata Party, particularly the government under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, uh, uh, time, time, she applied 18% GST on education. And here is problem is that now I am finding myself. Well, accordance with Nirmala Sitharaman's tax policy in 2025, well, here, when my income is all 300 United States dollars, well, particularly, I would like to say that my income is 27,000 Indian rupees, and when I am an Indian teacher, well, since I am my monthly income is 27,000 Indian rupees. That means monthly 300 United States dollars as monthly. Well, I have a right that I would not pay her. I could not pay her any Indian paisas as annual income tax. Well, but it is possible only in the condition when I have no current link with the educations. Just 2 minutes. Well, and so I apologize for disturbance. Well, here I have that was only the possible in only in the condition if the condition is that I would not have any link with educational professions. That means I would not be students. My son would not be students. I would not be teacher. My daughter would not be teacher. My wife would not be teachers, or my wife would not be a current students. In that conditions, when my monthly income is 300 United States dollars, I have a right that I would not pay any single Indian paisa as an annual income tax. But, well, in this video, you know, well, here is the particular points, and the particular points is that, well, here my monthly income is 300 United States dollars, and I am a teacher of St. Columbus School of India or Anglo-Tamilian Covenant High School of India. Well, and here the dangerous problem is that, well, now still, although I do not have to pay any single Indian paisa as an annual income tax, but now I have to pay 54 United States dollars as annual income. Well, as monthly GST on education. Why? Why? Because my profession is teacher of the Anglo-Indian Convent High School in Tamil Nadu. Here is my problems. Here is our problems. Okay. Now, it is the first problems. Well, the second problem is that, well, I am not teacher of any Indian schools or Indian college or any Indian universities. But the problem is that, well, when I have one daughter, well, okay, when I have one daughter, well, I have to pay 54 United States dollar as a monthly GST on my daughter's education. Well, when I have two daughters, I have to pay 108 United States dollars as a monthly GST on my two daughters' educations. And now, when I have three daughters, well, I have to pay almost, well, 54 add by 8, that means 62. 162 United States dollars as monthly GST on my three daughters' educations. Well, and now when as we are employed family person, so we have a wish that we would have 6 daughters or 6 sons or 3 daughters and 3 sons. So that means we have just 3 children. Our 3 children. And or actually we want to have our 6 children. And now here is the problem, and problem is that, well, I have to pay now 324 United States dollars as GST on my 6 daughters' education. 6 daughters. Well, and in that times, we have always 24 United States dollars as a loan, because our monthly income is 300 United States dollars. Well, now as an effect, why am I saying about 6 daughters or 3 daughters and 3 sons educations? Well, here 108% GST on a family with 6 children's educations. Well, why am I saying like that? Here is an answer. And now it is first complexity number 0. But now complexity number 1 is that it is only one course. And as a 2 course, when I have 6 daughters, well, I have to pay 648 United States dollars as GST on my 6 daughters' educations in 2 course. Well, that means in 2 course, as paying GST on 2 educational course, I have contained I have been containing already 348 United States dollars as a loan. 348 United States dollars as a loan. Okay. Well, 300 euro. And now here, why I am saying, well, now you have a confused that why am I saying about, well, 108% GST on 6 children of the family's education on the one course, well, applied by Nirmala Sitharaman as as our common prime ministers as a financial ministers of India. Well, now I would like to. It is my problem. I am sharing that when I can talk about our problems. Okay. Here is math and physics. Now, what about English, Hindi? Well, what about English, Hindi? Well, general chemistry, biology, math, and computer science. Here we can say we have a largest irony. We are encountering, well, and the largest irony is that, well, I have to pay 2,268 United States dollars as GST on my 6 daughters' education on the 6th educational course, as well as a 7 educational course. And here, that is the absolute problems we are facing. Well, and now when we do not have a child, well, 300 US dollars was my blessing for me, that I would not pay any single Indian paisa as an annual income tax when my monthly income is 300 United States dollars. Now, when I am giving birth to 6 daughters with my cements, now 300 United States dollars is now curse on me. Well, while the tax policy is a crystal communist policy, well, when the problem can occur with me, where my monthly income is 300 United States dollars, then what would occur on Mukesh Ambani's? What would occur on Mukesh Ambani? And what is the circumstance for Mukesh Ambani with the annual net worth of 105 billion United States dollars? as annual net worth. Okay, now let's focus on it. Okay, and now, well, here we can see that, well, here is my written conversation between Mukesh Ambani and me. Well, now let's see what is the statement of Mukesh Ambani, the richest Indians. Well, as our segment recording, he is the richest Indians. And when I would end the recording of the segments, perhaps another Indians would be the richest Indians. Okay, now let's see. Well, now let's see what Mukesh Ambani said. Sir Mukesh Ambani said, Dear Michaela, that is me, well, here my son wanna learn a mathematical educations. Here mathematical education is, well, square root of 5 to the power square root x, enter subtract by square root of minus of 5 to the power square root x, enter equal to 7. Well, and now as a solving the problems, well, the next line is we have factor as square root of 5 to the power square root x. Now, the rest factor is 1 minus, well, I mean 1 subtract by I, enter bracket, equal to 7. Okay. And now, when I square the both sides, here we can see 5 to the power square root x, enter multiple by bracket of negative 2i, bracket close, equal to 49. And now, as a next line, what would we get? We get that square root x equal to, well, bracket of ln 49 minus bracket of ln 2 plus 3 ln I, all bracket close, divided by ln 5. And now, what is the value of x? Simple. Bracket of ln 49 subtract by bracket of ln 2 added by 3 ln I, enter bracket close, divided by ln 5, enter bracket to the power 4. Okay. Now, well, the logic is square root x is x to the power 1 by 4. This is simple. Okay. And now, here you can say, now let's see on the next slide. But Nirmala Sitharaman applied, well, 18% GST on my grandson educations. Well, my annual net worth is 105 billion United States dollars. But now my grandson annual GST on education would be 19 billion United States dollars. Okay. That is the GST problem for my simple case. Well, and now let's see what is the reality. Well, the reality is that, okay, I have two grandsons from my son, Mukesh Ambani, two grandson from my son, Anand Ambani, and two grandsons from my daughters, Aradha Ambani. Well, that means now I have to pay 114 billion United States dollars as GST on education of my sixth grandson. Here, my bankruptcy is, well, 9 billion United States dollars. Okay. And now, well, where as even and now even Mukesh Ambani, the richest Indian, are facing GST problems. GST problems very difficultly. Well, as Nirmala Sitharaman points, well, Nirmala Sitharaman apply 18% GST for education. Well, it doesn't matter what is your economical circumstance. If you have a one son or one daughter or one grandson to be studied, you have to pay, well, 18% GST on education of your one child or one grandchild for one course. Okay, and well, and now that is, I think that is the curse for all of the human as a citizen of India. Doesn't matter if they are monthly income person of 300 United States dollar per month, or Mukesh Ambani with annual net worth of 105 billion United States dollars. Okay. Well, here is one complexity. Here is a simple points. But the second complexity is multiple that when his three child's education is complete before Nirmala Sitharaman's to be financial ministers of India. Okay, and now when Mukesh Ambani contains three sons but only two grandsons, well, and That means Mukesh Ambani has to pay 38 billion United States dollars. Okay. Well, as we know, what we can say. Well, here is Mukesh Ambani's problems. Well, according with Nirmala Sitharaman, well, if any person contains annual income above 24 lakhs Indian rupee, he has to pay 30% as an annual income tax. And now, well, Mukesh Ambani does not contain annual net worth of 105 crore Indian rupee. Moreover, Mukesh Ambani contains annual net worth of 105 billion United States dollars. Well, and now for his one grandson to learn a mathematical educations. Well, in a course of mathematics. Well, here for one grandson, Mukesh Ambani has to pay 19 billion United States dollars as GST on education for one grandson. And Mukesh Ambani has to pay 32 billion United States dollars as income tax, annual income tax. Well, as my calculation is that, well, Mukesh Ambani has to pay 51 billion United States dollars. Well, where 51 billion United States dollars, where the tax was GST for education of one grandson and the annual income tax. Well, if there is one grandson for Mukesh Ambani, that was the calculations. And now let's start on the complexity. Well, now we can see there is two grandsons of Mukesh Ambani. Well, Akash Ambani provide birth to one grandson and Anand Ambani provide one birth to one grandson. Well, of course, that is Siemens. Well, let's focus on it. And now, for two grandsons, Mukesh Ambani has to pay 38 billion United States dollars as an annual GST for education. Well, separately, Mukesh Ambani has to pay 32 billion United States dollars as an income tax. Hence, what is the meaning? As Mukesh Ambani contains a net worth of 105 billion United States dollars, Well, Mukesh Ambani has to pay 70 billion United States dollars as a tax, where first fraction is GST for two grandsons' educations, and the second fraction is the annual income tax. Okay, and here is the problem. Well, we are still encountering. Well, that means almost 66% of income has been on tax. Just 2 minutes. Here is my plans. Well, I wish God plan would be better for us, but now real thing is God plan is worse for us. Okay. Now, what is God plan? Plan is worse for us. Well, here we can see it. Okay. Well, as 66% of annual net worth has been spent for GST for on the two grandsons' education and the annual income tax. And now, well, let's focus on reality. Well, now I know Sir Mukesh Ambani is hiding her, well, I know Mukesh Ambani is hiding his sorrow feeling. How could he get so hurt? Well, how could he get broken? There is no idea. Because the reality is that there is two grandsons from Akash Ambani. Well, two grandsons from Anand Ambani and two grandsons from Ayat Ambani. Well, okay. Well, as a GST, here, well, we know that why Mukesh Ambani is richest Indians. Because Mukesh Ambani US contains almost 105 billion United States dollars as net worth. But now we are facing that there is a problem. Well, and the dangerous problem is saying is just in bed with Mukesh Ambani. Well, now we middle class family or the person with the monthly income of 300 US United States dollars can see that our six grand for our six grandson educations or our six granddaughters educations. Here we got 18% GST on education for one educational course. Well, now we are encountering the real definition of economical broken word. Well, and as we can say, it it is just entering our drawing room with with the outer door. But for the Mukesh Ambani, well, here we can see that Mukesh, it is just the economical tax problem is now in bedroom on the bed sheet and with sleeping as hugging with Mukesh Ambani. Well, as the economical problem is wife of Mukesh Ambani. Well, because in that points, since Mukesh Ambani contains 105 billion United States dollars as a net worth. Now Mukesh Ambani would pay 114 billion United States dollars. Well, that means now Mukesh Ambani is encountering the bankruptcy of 9 billion United States dollars. Well, now as we can say, when the richest Indian contains 6 grandsons, here is an example that how Nirmala Sitharaman, a financial minister of India, can bring in Mukesh Ambani into the road or into the street of poverty with the weapon as a GST on education. Well, and now here we are facing large problems as we are facing. Well, since Mukesh Ambani contains Geo Internet, his 6th grandson is studying mathematical educations on YouTube. Well, and now here technically we can say, Sundar Pichai designation for the Chief Executive Officer is at the state. That means in danger. In any milliseconds, Sundar Pichai can be unemployed repeatedly. Well, now here we can see when the 6 grandsons of Mukesh Ambani could start to learn mathematical educations only by schools with the teachers. Perhaps here we can see 114 billion United States dollars as the GST on 6 grandson educations. And now, the 6 grandsons of Mukesh Ambani is learning a mathematical education both on the YouTube and the school teachers as well. Well, and now the problem would be that here Mukesh Ambani has to pay 228 billion United States dollars. Well, that means it's clear the bankruptcy is automatically on 123 United States dollars. Okay. And now, just for 2 minutes, well, and now perhaps we have forgotten that one. We have forgotten there is not only Mukesh Ambani, but also Nita Ambani is here. Well, and now here the Nita Ambani has no incomes, as we can see, just taking care of assistants to take care of Mukesh Ambani empire. Well, but now as a GST on education, well, Nita Ambani has to pay 228 billion United States dollars as its GST on 6 grandsons' educations. And here we are facing the reality that what we could not expect it as we are promising. And here is our promise, what we can do that. Okay. And now, now the total GST, now the combined GST on the 6 grandson educations, the estimate GST it turn out on 456 United States dollars. That means annually here we can see 351 United States dollars bankruptcy. Well, and this type of bankruptcy, well, frankly, I would tell you something that we do not expect with this type of bankruptcy. Well, and perhaps we are afraid to have any child to be born in India. And as an effect, there is a single single opportunity. We are researching that why we richest family should leave India and settle in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Spain and Greece. Just for 2 minutes. Okay. And now, well, where am I? 351 billion United States dollars bankruptcy. Well, and this is for one course, that is mathematics. Here, GST is a GST contains a significant roles. Well, here English, Hindi. Well, here is English, Hindi, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and sociology. Well, Hindu religions and Marathi. Well, here is nine. Pro- here is a nine mathematical. Here is a nine educational course. Well, and one educational course, we are facing that how Mukesh Ambani has to pay. Well, I mean the couple of Mukesh Ambani has to pay 456 billion United States dollars as a 456 billion United States dollars as GST on six grandsons in uh, in just one educational course. Now, as we can say that here can be three educational course. Now anything anybody can be frustrated, then just stop it. Don't give birth to your child. Here is would be one slogan, because Nirmala Sitharaman is just a financial okay. Well, here as we can see, here is a mathematical. Okay, just 2 minutes. Well, here we can see. Here is Nirmala Sitharaman's financial dictatorships. Well, now as we blame Chinese governments as a dictator governments, but now here we can see that the real dictators as in a financial ministry is only provided by Nirmala Sitharaman. And here is problem for us. Okay. And the problem is too dangerous that we cannot underestimate it. And anybody of you can underestimate it, then just underestimate it. But I dare you that anybody cannot underestimate it. Well, and now the dictatorship is clear in our eyes. The dictatorship of Nirmala Sitharaman as a financial ministry is crystal clear. Okay. And I don't know why some of us wear a mask. I mean, I don't know why some of us is just sleeping. Well, when we Well, and here in the points when we cannot learn properly as from our educational institutes, industries as school, college, university. Well, our fathers, our parents, and our relatives of our parents, and particularly the siblings of our parents, address us as idiot, well, scoundrel, BSTRD, and anything, but not like a cute girl. Okay, and that is the problems we are facing. Well, and here as a point. Well, and then they would have said that, well, our 456 billion United States dollars has been waste on you and has been waste on your educations. That they would address me. Well, but I did not say that you have to spend educational money for me. Well, and here, as Mukesh Ambani networks, when for the GST on 6 grandsons education on the one educational course, when there we can encounter that crystally 351 billion United States dollars has been as a in the bankruptcy. Well, then we can say that Mukesh Ambani would not be the richest person of India. He would be the poorest person of the Indians. Well, and why he would be the poorest person of India? Well, just because as GST on 6 grandsons educations, 351 billion United States dollars has been in bankruptcy, and now, well, we could say now we can watch the communism as a crystal real face. We can see it. Okay, and here is the dangerous point for us. Okay, and now, well, here is the one. Okay, and now here is one education. Okay, and now here is one education. Well, here is years of class 2, and now we are going on the class 3 mathematical educations. We can focus on it, and therefore we can see it. Just we have to wait for 3 minutes. Okay, and now here is well, it is the research file where I was talking on the what? Well, I was talking on live streams. Okay, and now let's see what's focus on it. Well, here in mathematical questions, well, okay, here is a mathematical questions. The mathematical question is that, well, seven, here is two equations. We have to find the solution of x and y, where the two equation is that equation number 0, well, 7 to the power 2 multiplied by square root x minus 6, enter subtract by 7 to the power 2 multiplied by square root of y plus 6, enter equal to 37. Okay. Here we can see on the second education, well, as the we can see the second points, we are just facing the points. Well, the second education we are just facing, that is beautiful. Well, second the equation number 1 is 7 to the power square root x minus 6, enter multiple by 7 to the power square root y plus 6, enter equal to 65. Okay. And here, now, let me see the what was my method. Well, I considered 7 to the power square root x minus 6 as a variable Netanyahu, and 7 to the power square root y plus 6 as Xi Jinping. Okay. Well, as equation number 1, here is clear. Netanyahu is equal to 60 from, well, the multiplication between Netanyahu and Xi Jinping is 65. Well, that means Netanyahu is equal to 65 divided by Xi Jinping. Well, now let's focus on equation number 0. Well, now we input a value of Netanyahu. Well, where the equation as equation number 0, we can say that the equation was, well, Netanyahu square subtract by Xi Jinping square equal to 37. Well, and here we have an input of the value of Netanyahu, and as an effect, well, we have a quadratic equations of the value of Xi Jinping square. Hence, here is no problem for us to find the value of Xi Jinping. But now Xi Jinping is not a permanent variable, because what was Xi Jinping? Xi Jinping was just, well, 7 to the power square root y plus 6. And here we can get that y is equal to what? Bracket of long bracket of bracket square root bracket of bracket minus negative 18.5 plus minus, well, 62.3117 I, enter divided by ln 7, enter square minus 6. Okay. And now, well, when if we have to find the value of x, now we have to find the value of Benjamin Netanyahu. And guess what? What is the value of x? That is, well, bracket of ln, ln, bracket 65 divided by bracket square root, double bracket, negative 18 minus 5 plus minus 62.3117. Well, enter divided by ln 7, enter enter square, enter plus 6. Well, here is our education, and this type of education we just need it, and this type of education and this type of education we just love it. Well, and we can say that as our, well, proper educations. Well, but, well, here my salary, monthly income is 300 United States dollars per month. Well, as one student, I have to pay, well, 54 United States dollars as GST on mathematical education. Hence, well, my one student has to pay 108 United States dollars as GST on education. Okay, here is one course. Well, now we would like to go for the next complexity that perhaps we cannot tolerate it. Okay. Well, here is one student, and when I am lecturing on the mathematical class on school students, here I got 60, almost 60 students. And now let's have the multiplication of between 54 and 6. Well, 50 multiplied by 6 is 300, and 4 multiplied by 6 is 24. That means 324. Well, that means in my entire class, I have to pay 32,000. I apologize. I have to pay, in the case, 3,240 United States dollars. Well, as a GST on mathematical education for my 60 students. Well, and now here is a point that why and now here is the points that why we did not teach more than 20 students as a mathematical course, because here is a problem that then we have to pay 3,240 United States dollars as a GST on education. Well, and what about Nirmala Sitharaman? Well, I have to be out of cameras because I would like to feel prepared to back to our online, back to on cameras. Okay, but now, okay, and now let me see. Okay, here we can face that. Well, now here, just a minute. Okay. Well, and now here is the problem that why I could not pay attention on 64. I mean the 60 students in our mathematical class, because well here we got both of our tensions. Well, and we know that the parents of 60 students has more tensions, particularly I would say more anxieties than me, because here the points, the Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on each student's educations for the one educational course. Okay, and here when the teacher would pay the fees, well, teacher would not pay one educational course fees for school. They would pay, well, 9 educational course fees for school. Well, perhaps I would tell you the, okay. And now, well, here they have anxieties on GSTs, because Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on, well, 18% GST on, educations for one student and one educational course. Well, and the average students can pay, well, average monthly income of 60 students parents is only for, well, 600 United States dollars, because here father earns average 300 United States dollar per month, and the mother earns 300 United States dollars per month. Okay, that is average. Well, and here you can say that, well, parents would pay, what parents would pay? Well, parents would pay almost 108 United States dollars GST for one child as one student for one educational course. Okay, and that is the effect is that, well, almost here is a problem that 6,480 United States dollars, well, is the payment GST for 60 student education for only mathematical course. Yeah, of course. Well, because almost 3,240 United States dollars we have to pay as GST on mathematical education only from our pockets. Yes. And here, that is the significant problem we are encountering. Okay. And now, here we can say it is the mathematical course parts. Well, as we teach, as we are teachers, well, from the 2 class, second standard and third standards, in the 2 standards, well, we have to pay 6,480 United States dollars as GST on educations, where our monthly income is 300 United States dollars. What is problems? The problem is that we can pay 18% GST on education for one student. Here we are, well, and here we are paying for paying the GST on education for 60 students, and here we are facing, and it is only offline, and for one line, well, we regularly teach 1,000 students. Well, with the average family parents income of 600 United States dollars, and here we are facing the dangerous threat. Okay. Well, for and what is the cost? Okay. And now here my mobile is just free now because of no live streamings. Okay, there I can keep you understand. Well, 54 divided by 300. Well, that is 18%. It's clear. But now 600 divided by, I have looked 600 multiplied by 1,000. Well, as Indian voice, particularly, well, Nirmala Sitharaman voice, well, In online, I have to pay 1,08,000 United States dollars as GST on online mathematical education for 1,000 students. Okay. Well, I don't know if physics wala Alak Pandey could have the backup business that can bring him the net income without tax as to 20 billion United States dollars. That would be simple. Then I believe that Alak Pandey would survive. Otherwise, now here, okay. Now here, I would like to say some points. Here is my Wallah Habibi. Would you tell me Alak Pandey average views on YouTube? Please. Okay. Now here is just a research. Okay. Now here we can have a research that is, Alak Pandey average views is almost approximately 8,60,000 views. Okay. Well, accordance with Nirmala Sitharaman, now, 54 divided by 300 multiplied by 1,000 multiplied by 8,06,000 views. Okay. Accordance with Nirmala Sitharaman's GST policy, well, now let me see what's going on. Alak Pandey has to pay 15 crore 48 lakh United States dollars because his average number of online student is 8,60,000 and the average of their parents' father's income is 300 United States dollars and average of their mother's income is 300 United States dollars. Well, according to, here you can see that perhaps Sir Alak Pandey would earn 8,60,000 as a monthly income. Still, as a monthly GST for education, Alak Pandey sir has to pay 15 crores 48 lakh United States dollars as a monthly GST. Well, and now here we are facing the extreme financial dictatorship by Nirmala Sitharaman on the education. Okay, as an effect, educations are being expensive minute by minute. Well, when education can be expensive minutes by minutes, and here we can say that it is more dangerous for us. Okay. Well, and now if there is one educational course points, that would be okay. But let's see what is the complexity level in real world. Okay. In segments, we are not talking on chemistry, we are not talking on biology. Well, here, just wait for some moments. Well, here is a demonstration step. Well, physics question is that here, Michael and lesbian can fly from New York to Dhaka with a travel distance of 25,666 kilometer in 1 minute. Here, her plane weight is 12,250 kilometers. Kilograms, where capability is 98% and fuel is artificial sun with the temperature of 666 E 3300 degrees Celsius. Now, here is a four fraction of the questions. The fraction number 0, what is kinetic power? Well, fraction number 1 is that gravitational force with accelerate time of 1 nanoseconds. These values in the another live streams here, I would like to say as nanoseconds because in previous live stream it is written as microseconds. Okay. Well, the kinetic weight of artificial suns, well, is what is the kinetic weight of artificial suns? And the last point is what is the heat receiving temperatures? Okay. Now, as the teachers, well, what can we teach? Now let's see. Well, we can teach kinetic power as a equation. What is the kinetic power in here? Well, we have, okay, here is going on. We have 3 parameters. One parameter is weight. Second parameter is traveling distance, and the third parameter is traveling times. Okay, and here we can see here we can see that what can be the kinetic powers. Well, here that is our physics education, that we can calculate the the kinetic power. This is the education of Isaac Newton, but now Sir Alak Pandey can teach it. Sir Alak Pandey can educate it. Well, and now let's focus on it. And it is actually the great points. Okay, and now here we can see, well, what we can see, let's figure out it. Well, we can see that for this, here our equation of our kinetic power is half m multiplied by s square divided by t cube. Half m is the half of the weights, and s is the traveling distance, and t is the traveling times. Well, but now when we could not pay, when our GST tax shot by 13.5 United States dollars as GST on education, as for one student, as our monthly income of 300 United States dollars. Well, as we can miss the, we can say, just forget about kinetic powers. Well, when as a job market of vehicle to be vehicle engineer from double IT, and perhaps it would be on JEE exams. Well, in the short, well, in the short of the 13.5 United States dollar as a GST on education per each students, well, perhaps online of 8,60,000 can bully on it. They can abuse Alak Pandey. Well, I know it is not a fault, but perhaps it is the greatest threat we can perceive. Well, and now let's see. Well, let's see. Let's focus on second questions. Comparison with gravitational force with accelerated time of 1 nanoseconds. Well, but 27 in the lack of 27 United States dollars as GST per students. Well, we can say, forget the questions, just learn that Newton's 4 velocity law. Don't waste on the compared on the gravitational force. But when we got a proper GST, then we can teach that here we have a 1, 2, 3. Here we have a 4 parameters. The first parameter is the travel distance. Well, here we can have 3 parameters. First parameter is my travel distance. Second parameter is my travel time, and the third parameter is accelerate times. Well, and here now let them divided by the gravitational accelerations. You can compare the part, you can calculate the comparison with gravitational force. Okay. Now here a kinetic weight of artificial suns. Well, in the lack of GSTs, well, we can teach the students just learn the petrol oil science and forget the any heat science where any thermal science where nuclear fuel is included. But when we have a proper GST, well, here we can teach them that what is the specific heat and the temperature of the artificial sun, and what is the capability, what is the plane weight, what is the plane, what is the plane travel distance, and what is the plane travel time. Okay, and what is the engine capability. Here we can teach them. Well, our motivation is only on the clear when multiple by and now here we can see here is a largest thread we can perceive. Well, and now, as 8,60,000 students, Alak Pandey has to pay almost 10 crore United States dollars as GST on the student of 8 lakh, 60,000 on only on the physics educational course. But recently, we are talking on the, and recently, we are talking on two educational course, and hence here almost the GST estimated GST is almost 20 crore United States dollars. Well, and now it is educational tax scam. Nirmala Sitharaman applied as 18% GST on education. Okay. But perhaps, for today, the segment is over. But I have forgot to say something applied on Mukesh. The conflict between Mukesh Ambani versus Nirmala Sitharaman on the 18% GST on education. Well, but now in the next segment, I would include it. Okay. Now let's see it. But okay, just wait minutes. But still, I have to attempt on live streams. Well, everything is okay. Well, now, before the second segment, I would have a live stream, another live streams on the topics. Well, see you then, and I'm waiting you for my second segment. Salam Habibi, how are you? I hope you are fine. It's me, Michael Asisayurudi Santa. I am here with you, and now here we have our topics. And now here is a topics to roast Nirmala Sitharaman. And now here we have a segment. Our segment is that 18% GST on education. And now here 18% GST on education is unfortunately it will be in physics. Oh, I have said, I have discussed in the previous segment, but these segments we are talking about our one points. And what is the points? The points is that UPSC. Okay. And now here we can say in UPSC how Nirmala Sitharaman 18% educational GST can have an evil effect. Let me talking about. Okay. Well, in this topic, I want to allow myself to demonstrate myself as an UPSC teacher. I mean, the teacher of sociology in school. Okay. As a teacher of sociology in school, here we can say that our monthly income is 300 United States dollars. Okay. When our monthly income is 300 United States dollars, here it is written if someone's monthly income is, well, if someone contains annual income is less than 27,000 United States dollars, he has a right that he would not pay any single Indian paisa as annual income tax. Okay. Now let's see what is the meaning of annual income as 27,000. Okay. 27,000 annual income is almost 2,000 monthly income. And still here my monthly income is almost, well, I have said something wrong. Okay. Well, if the annual income is below 4 lakh Indian rupees, that means the monthly income is 333 United States dollars. Then he is free of the annual income tax. Well, now my monthly income is 300 United States dollars. When my monthly income is 300 United States dollars, well, I have a right that I would not pay any single Indian paisa as an annual income tax. It is my rights. But and I have said it in the previous segment. But now, as a new segments, these segments, here problem is that my tax-free income is possible when I could be a shopkeeper, I could be a clerk of some points, I could be a peon. Well, that was fair. And when or even I would be low rank officer in any private sectors or any governmental sectors, I have a right that I would not pay any single Indian paisa as an annual income tax or any tax. I do not say about the VAT. An unemployed person is also responsible to pay the VAT on the products. But here the problem is that in the segments, I am a UPSC teacher. Well, that means I am a teacher of sociology. And that is the problems. Problem is that Nirmala Sitharaman, the Honorable Financial Minister of India, applied 18% GST on education. And in this segment, I would say, 18%, she applied 18% GST on sociological education. Okay. And here is we can get a negative effect. Well, now the negative effect is that here we can say, here we can say sociological, as a teacher of sociology, I could not educate my student as a proper sociological education. And as an effect, in the lack of GST, perhaps I would teach my students some useless sociological points. Yeah. That would be useless for the students, because the students would never can see that what would be the points, what would the problems, and here that would be negative for us. Okay, and now, I would like to tell you that what is our points. Before the first of all, I would like to say that what 18% GST on education can say some negative impact on our educational systems. Well, first of all, I am as a student of I am UPSC aspirants. Well, I can be an collector, governor. Well, I can be a chief secretary. I can be prime secretary. Well, I can be a governor general of India. That is IAS. Now, let me tell you that what is IPS. Okay, as IPS, here is my points. But the meaning of IPS is Indian Police Service. Well, as IPS, I can be assistant superintendent of police, or the superintendent of police, or the assistant commissioner of police, or police commissioners, or the agent of intelligence bureau. I can be applied as an agent of intelligence bureau, or the director of intelligence bureau. Here is my rights. Because I am IPS, hence I can be the director of intelligence bureau as my highest designations. Otherwise, I can be the agents of intelligence bureau. There is not a problem. Okay. Now, UPSC is not only for IPS and IAS. Sometimes UPSC, sometimes UPSC is good when you can be an army officer. Well, your position is army officer, army captain, army commander. Well, your position is army captain, army commander, colonel, major general, brigadier generals, and lieutenant generals, and I can be a general of an Indian army, and it's my rights. Well, and it is the UPSC education. Well, but now let me see what is the problem of 18% GST on UPSC educations. Well, as 18% GST of UPSC educations, well, here you can see my parents, my family income is 600 United States dollars. Well, my father's income is 600 United States dollars and 300 United States dollars, and the mother income, monthly income is 300 United States dollars. Well, and here you can see as I am and here is an UPSC average UPSC aspirant family monthly income. Well, here I am an UPSC for teachers. Well, I because of Nirmala Sitharaman, I put I am forced to receive 36% GST on my UPSC education from my students. Well, how is that? Well, it is not only 36%, well, perhaps, oh, 36% students. Okay, what would be that? Let me tell you. Well, as father's income is 300 United States dollars, well, father would pay 108 United States dollars of GSM as a education UPSC educational GST. Okay, as UPSC educational GST. Well, mother would pay 108 United States dollars. Well, as a UPSC educational GST. Well, and I would pay, well, here I would pay 34 United States dollars as UPSC educational GST accordance with my income of 300 United States dollars of monthly income. Well, and here, and it is and it can be a problem. And what is the problem levels? Here I can say something. Okay. Well, as now as a sociology, we know here is three economical administrations in our country, in any states. One is capitalism, second is socialism, and the third is communism. Okay. Well, now here is the point. When GST, educational GST is reasonable, that means 1% to 3%. Here, gold GST is more. Gold GST is 3%, and the Bollywood movie GST is 3%. Well, entertainment is GST is 3%. Even sports GST is 3%. Well, but educational and okay, here now when we got educational GST as 1% to 3%, that means the student's father would pay how much that 18 United States dollars as GST, and mother would pay 18 United States dollars as GST. Well, I would pay 9 United States dollars as GST because GST is 3%. Here, my point is that here my point as my education's sociology, I would teach my student is that sociology is the best policy because in sociology, socialism is the best policy because In the socialist country, well, here is two income fractions. Okay, here is two fraction of monthly income. Well, the first fraction is in the base of what is your necessity. Well, how much food you have to eat, how much water you is necessary for you to have drink or and take a bath. And how much electricity you can spend on family with your wife and your children, and as a necessity. But in the base first fractions is a salary of this. Well, in the first primary fact, it is the primary fractions. Well, when and here you can say that, well, army constables, police constables, well, civil mechanics, civil mechanics, and yeah, hackers, ethical hackers, or some clerk or security guards. Well, in these designations of the employment, well, you don't need any merit. When you don't need any merit, well, you can see that without merit, this designation is okay for this, because these designations of employment is completely containing monthly income completely in the base of your necessity. Okay, but well, if you want to be a police commissioner, if you want to be a superintendent of police, if you want to be a colonel, if you want to be major general, if you want to be brigadier general of your national army, well, if you want to be businessman, if you want to be, well, director manager or general manager in accountants or advertisements or human resource, well, here you can see in this, if you can be a computer engineer or computer scientist, if you can be a nuclear scientist, if you can be a bank manager, in this designations, well, you need in these designations, here you have two fraction of your monthly income. The first primary fraction is, well, what is your necessity in your to feed your family or take care of your family, and this secondary fractions is how much you are talented and or how much you are meritorious. Okay, then we can say that socialism is the best policy. We can say When we have no GST on the education, then what is our sociological education to our students? Well, we would say capitalism is the best policy. We would say capitalism is the best policy because uh, in capitalist country, it doesn't matter if your employment designation is security guard or the chief executive officers. It doesn't matter if you are well police constable or director of Intelligence Bureau of India. It doesn't matter if you are a civil mechanic or the chief executive officer of the construction company. It doesn't matter if you are cyber mechanics or cyber laborers or the IT chief executive officer of the information technological companies. Well, it doesn't matter if you are a military constable or the director of National Security Commissions. Well, in that case, the monthly salary is 100% in the base of what is your talent and what is your merit. Well, if you have no merit, the designations to be a police constable, military constable, civil mechanic, cyber mechanics, or the security guards, that is crystally out of questions. Well, that is out of questions. You can, there is one designation is suitable for you without any merit, and that is you are unemployable. Well, here is it is just sociological education to my UPSC aspirant students. When we have no GST on education, but when we have 18% GST on education, well, here we can get a crystal negativity for this. The crystal, then our we UPSC teacher would need 216 United States dollars as GST on education. Hence that I can pay 54 United States dollars as GST on UPSC education from my pocket. Okay. Well, and then here you can see G's. Well, here you can see the problem of GST. Well, now let me see what is the problem of GST. Well, the problem of GST would be like that. Well, here then I have to educate my uh, UPSC student as wrong educations. What is wrong educations? Well, I would say to educate my UPSC student that communism is best policy. And why I would say communism is best policy? Uh, I would say as explanations. Well, in communism, well, there is 100% monthly income is the base of, well, what is your necessity? How much income is necessity to feed your family? Here, if your family contains 100 relatives, then you can be chief executive officer of your company without any merit. Okay. Well, here, when in the community, you don't need to study more. You can be illiterate and you can be successful employee persons. I mean the successful chief executive officers as being illiterate. If and only if your family contains 100 relatives couples, paternal uncles, paternals, 100 paternal uncles, 100 couple, 100 paternal auntie couple, 100 maternal uncle couples, and 100 maternal auntie couples, or 100 friends, or 100 girlfriends, then it is probable that you can get an opportunity to be a chief executive officer while you are two grade fail in school. And here the labor contains family only, father, mother, wife, and perhaps two child. Well, here is only one designation for him, and that is labor, and that is the problem for communism. But I would say communism is best policy. But what is the cost to sustain the communism, successful communist person? Once I would mislead that. What is the reason? Reason is that, well, I can earn 300 United States dollars, as when the UPSC students' parents can earn and give me some fees. Well, here when my GST is 54 United States dollars, I would get 206 United States dollars as a GST. Just for 2 minutes. Okay. Well, well, and what is my position? So I would like to say a clear-cut points. Well, here when I would be able to pay 54 United States dollars as a UPSC educational GST. Well, before that, my UPSC students' parents would be capable to pay 216 United States dollars as UPSC educational GST because 54 United States dollars as UPSC educational GST I have to pay from my pockets. Well, and now here we have to say some misleading points as we could achieve. Okay, now here that is my points. Well, 16 United States dollars. Well, here is our point. Okay, and now here is the first negative side that can be in long term. Well, and as an effect, well, when the students would love UPSC students to be the future governor or future governor generals or future intelligence revenue service officers would learn that communism is best policy only because of Nirmala Sitharaman applying 18% GST on education. That means 54 United States dollars as UPSC educational GST as annual income of 300 United States dollars. Well, now the tax circle would be larger and larger repeatedly, and as an effect, here we can say our economy would be like Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun. Well, I can say Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun because I am a Muslim. But as a Hindu, we can say then the Indian economy would be Ram Nam Satya Hai. Well, and here is a negative side. Okay. Now let me tell you. Here is the points. I would like to show you the proper negative points as my research file. Okay, well, now here is the positions I have seen. Well, Nirmala Sitharaman's positions. Well, Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on military sociological education. Just 2 minutes. Well, now uh, when Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on military sociological education, well, now, as an UPSC aspirant to be at military sections, well, here you can see the students of military education is from uh, elite peoples. Well, elite people. They are the elite people is some of their father is a businessman, some of their father is a doctor, some of their father is an engineer, some of their father is a nuclear scientist, some of their father is an general manager of the advertisement in department of the information technological companies in Bangalore, or here some of their father is a professor of the elite top rank university like IIT, IIM, etc. Okay, and now, now in the points, the 99% of the Indian Army officers would contains annual income, family annual income above than 24 lakhs Indian rupees. That means their monthly income can be above than 2 lakh Indian rupees. And here 30% income tax is necessity. Well, 2 lakh multiplied by 2E5 multiplied by 0.3. That is 2E4 multiplied by 3. That means 6E4. That means 60,000 India's rupees as a GST. Well, here is here we have a doubt. Well, let me tell you what is my doubt. Okay, 27, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Divided by 90, that means almost 30,000 United States dollars. Okay. Well, annual income. Well, monthly income. What is the monthly income? That is 2,500 United States dollars. Okay. Now let's see the 2,25,000 Indian rupees. Okay. Now here you can say 2,500 United States dollars when your monthly income is 2,500 United States dollars. That means 2,500 United States dollars. as your monthly income. Well, your monthly income tax is the monthly income tax is 750 United States dollars. Okay. Now, uh, now for 99%, pass out military students, well, their tax is combinations of two tax. One fraction is income and monthly income tax, and another fraction is monthly GST. Well, and here you can see when your family monthly income is 500, that is 2,500 United States dollars as monthly income, your monthly tax is 1,200 United States dollars. Well, that is monthly incomes. Here you and it when the monthly in half of your monthly income is going to be to paid going for payment as the combination of monthly income tax and monthly GST tax. Here you cannot have a proper answer. Well, here as a military sociological education, when you are on Indian armies, well, as 12 afternoon 12 o'clock, I okay, as midday 12 o'clock, I was shooting the statement of uploading video, but at 3 o'clock, perhaps I would be to roast Khushbu Patani. Well, now here the topic is Nirmala Sitharaman. Why I am announcing about to roast Khushbu Patani? Because Khushbu Patani claimed herself as Indian army officers. Okay, just 2 minutes. Well, and now here you can say, well, recording. Yes, recording is okay. Well, here the question was, Pakistani terrorist is planning to attack on Israeli cities, American cities, and Indian cities. Now, what is your opinion to take revenge against Pakistani terrorists? Okay. Now here we can see the answer before 18 educational GST. Well, the answer was if Islamabad should contains earthquake with a Richter scale of 666, and here hence our nuclear cluster kinetic energy would be 7.3 into 10 to the power 433 joules. Okay. And now here you can say what if what if we got a city with earth containing earthquake with Richter scale of 20. Well, now here we can see E, well, 980.128. E to the power, well, 3 divided by 2, and here Richter scale is 20. Now, here we can say when we would need a Richter scale of 20, here our nuclear cluster bomb would contain a kinetic energy of almost 11,000 joule. That means 11 kilojoule. Well, when we would have 11 kilojoule as the kinetic power energy of nuclear cluster bomb, here we can see the city containing earthquake with the Richter scale of 20. And it is okay for it, and here it is good for us. Well, here that answer was before 18% educational GST. Well, but now Nirmala Sitharaman applies 18% GST on military sociological education. And here 99% military students contains two problems. Our family income tax is almost, first of all, our 99% of military student containing family income tax as 30%. And here 18% GST is additional as a military sociological school education. And now that means half of our salary monthly income is paid on the combined tax of monthly income tax and monthly GST on military sociological school. And now, well, what would be our answer? Our answer is let's surrender to Pakistani army. Okay. I am sorry to say, but I apologize to say, but if Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on military sociological education in the period where the Field Marshal Sam Bahadur Manik Shah was a student of Indian military academies. Hence, here, hence, perhaps we can say, here, then we perhaps we can watch surrender of India Army to Pakistani Army in 1971, and the dream of Bangladesh liberation is Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun. Because uh, Bangladesh liberation Bangladesh is a Muslim country, and the occupier Pakistani is Muslim country as well. When Indian army under Sam Bahadur Manik Shah would surrender on Pakistan army just because in the school time Sam Bahadur Manik Shah get 18% GST on military sociological education. Here, well, here is the point. The liberation of Bangladesh is in the dream of liberation of Bangladesh is inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun, and the sovereignty of Indian Kashmir is going to be inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun. On the other hand, northeast of India containing Indian sovereignty would be as Christian cemetery, because several provincial state of northeast Indians is almost a Christian provincial state. Okay. Now, all of the provincial states would go to China. Well, and here you can say, well, China is actually Northwest Indian sovereignty was actually the buffer zone between China and the East India, notwithstanding being a chicken neck. Well, after the buffer zone would be completely under the sovereignty of China, well, the neighborhood of the Mashriqi neighborhood would be directly China, and then East Pakistan sovereignty would be at the at ICU, at medical ICU. Okay. Well, everybody. It is good. It was good for us that when Indian Field Marshal Sam Bahadur Manik Shah was a student of Indian military academies. It is good for him that British government never apply any tax on military sociological educations. In fact, they did not apply any tax on educations. Well, and here is the reason that when Sam Bahadur Manik Shah as a is field marshal in 1971. Well, Bangla Pakistani army surrendered to the Indian army, and Bangladesh liberation dream would be has been reality from 1971 to the calendar of 2025, because this segment is being shoot in the August 12th, the calendar of 2025. Okay, and now we can see that Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on military sociological education. Now, here is probability that 10 years later, we can say Indian army would surrender to the Pakistan army on Indian Kashmir, Indian Punjab, and Indian Rajasthan. Well, they would surrender to China on Uttar Pradesh and Bihar and the northeast India. Okay. Well, and Ladakh. Well, what happened? What would happen there? Because Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on the military sociological education. Well, and perhaps as a military scientific research, there is a military particular academy where the syllabus is combination of double IT and UPSC. Well, and now here is the problems. Okay, I would be back off the camera because to be hill. Okay, now here just for 2 minutes. Well, and here we can see some points that we must achieve. Well, here Nirmala Sita, in the previous segment, we have discussed that how Nirmala Sitharaman applied 18% GST on the double IT side on the scientific educations and with the double IT educations. Okay. Well, and now if the military officer is not scientific students, here we can say that 18% GST on military social UPSC educations. But what if the military academic students is science stream background students? What about it? Hence, here you can see as the military educations GST is 36. Now, here we can say Well, 99% of military academy students is from rich family. Okay. And their family income, each of the family income is above, well, 30,000 United States dollars. Well, some of them are businessmen, some of them are top engineers, some of them are ISRO scientists, some of them are NASA scientists. Okay. And now here you can say, well, 18, that means here 36% GST on military education is, well, suitable for only for Nirmala Sitharaman's. Okay. Nirmala Sitharaman's, the financial minister of India. Well, and now, well, 36% GST only for military academic teacher. But for military academic students, well, that is 72% GST on military education from the family. Well, and now problem is, okay. Now here we can see the monthly incomes. Well, now here the problem is, well, a month where monthly income is 2,500 United States dollars. Well, here monthly income tax is 30%, and the monthly GST is from their parents is 72%. Well, the GST is 2,550 United States dollars. That means 50 United States dollars would be paid from the bank loan. And here we can see that Nirmala, because of Nirmala Sitharaman, the financial minister of India, nowadays, well, there would be no scientific research, and no science stream student can be, well, the military academy. Well, I would like to say that none of rich kid with science being recognitions of science stream student can be, well, military academic students. And here we can say that, well, there would be no military scientific research in India, and as an effect, here we can say before Nirmala Sitharaman being financial ministers, well, Indian Army conduct the best military scientific research. But now, while Nirmala Sitharaman is the financial minister of India, here we can say 72% GST would be applied on military academic students, where the family monthly income tax is almost 30%. Well, and it is now a great threat as we can perceive. Okay. Now, but now we have forgot that here our guest Mukesh Ambani is watching our our tax file, tax research file. And now, well, last time Mukesh Ambani explained that last time his net worth is 103 billion United States dollars. But in the first segments, net worth was 105 billion United States dollars. That means Nirmala Sitharaman's GST on education is reducing the net worth of Mukesh Ambani. And that is the largest threat for Mukesh Ambani. Now, he conducted two grandsons from his son Anand Ambani. Two grandsons from his son Akash Ambani and two grandsons from his son. I apologize. Two grandsons from his daughter Aradha Ambani. Well, here six for the when here we can say if the sixth grandson would be the military army officers, here they can face the problems. Well, while Mukesh Ambani net worth is still reducing, but still Mukesh Ambani net worth is 102 billion United States dollars. Not 102 crores Indian rupees. That is 102 billion United States dollars. Here, well, for one grandson to be Indian military students, well, here as a science stream students, here 36% would be okay. 36 from grandparents, but 36 is from the parents. Well, 72% hence GST would be applied on Mukesh Ambani's one grandson. And here, additionally, here the grandson would pay 30% annual income tax. Well, you can say, but that is possible only non-science stream students. But grandson would be science stream student. Here, the GST would be for grandson of Mukesh Ambani would be 144% GST on military educations. Well, the total combined in tax is combined tax between annual income tax and GST would be 176%. Okay. Now 1.76. Now here Mukesh Ambani has to pay 180 billion United States dollars from his own annual net worth of 102 billion United States dollars. That means, well, Mukesh Ambani has to pay the loan, okay, on 80 billion or 78 billion United States dollars as a help to pay the GST and the ST and the annual income tax, only for one grandson. But now here is a complexity, and the complexity is now 1.76 multiplied by 6. Now 6 grandson would be the military academic students, and here, well, the combined tax would be 1,078 billion United States dollars. Okay. Well, 1,078 billion subtracted by 102 billion United States dollars. That means here is a point. Mukesh Ambani has to receive a bank loan of 976 billion United States dollars as a help to pay tax of 1,078 billion United States dollars as the combined tax between annual income and GST for his 6th grandson. Well, and here we can say, well, in the case, Mukesh Ambani would say, Allah raste tugga bikka den, Allah ke naam pe kuch de do baba. Here is a point, and here is negative points, that is the largest threat for us. Well, as the negative points, it is actually the dangerous points. We could not find the it. And here it is the largest threat for us. Okay, and here is the reason that why communist Russia has been collapsed, and why the communist North Korea is almost collapsed, and why communist Cuba and the communist Venezuela has been destroyed. Even communist Cuba is the poorest country of the North America, North American continent. Cuba is only one the poorest country, and here 18% educational GST. And now Nirmala Sitharaman applying 18% GST on military education. And here Now I am explaining that why Indian economy can be collapsed because of Nirmala Sitharaman. Because of Nirmala Sitharaman, when the military academic student with science stream has to pay 72% GST for military education, where the family annual income is only from the parents. When family annual income would be only from the parents, both from parents and grandparents, here we can say, well, the GST can be 144%. Well, and the 144% GST is on the tax. Consider the only tax only for 1% Indian military academic students who are from the uh, poor family, but 99% Indian military academic students, well, here parent family is just like Mukesh Ambani. Well, 100 to 2 billion United States dollars as annual net worth. Well, combination of GST and the annual income tax. Well, annual tax is 1 trillion for one grandson is 180 billions, but for 6 grandson, that can be 1,078,000,000,000 United States dollars. Well, even the richest Indian, Mukesh Ambani, has to receive 9 times loan than the annual net worth. Well, when Mukesh Ambani would have to receive 9 times bank loan than the annual net worth only to pay the combination of annual income and GST on the military education for 6 grandsons. Well, when Donald Trump is saying that Indian economy is a dead economy, then why some Indians angry against Donald Trump? That is the problem. Okay, and now here we go. That is the problems where Indian economy can be considered official debt economy in any millisecond. I think in any nanoseconds. Well, and that is why we hate Nirmala Sitharaman as financial minister of India. Okay. Here we can have a next job. Well, okay. Our next job is here. The answer here is so UPSC exams. Okay. Now, previously, well, previously mean at the first fraction of this segment, I have discussed that what is the evil effect of Nirmala Sitharaman applying 18% GST on UPSC educations. Here, well, now here let me tell you, uh, before 18% educational GST, where UPSC question is, as a car manufacturer country between capitalism and communism, which economical administration system is based? Well, the answer was capitalism is a best policy because here we can manufacture a car with velocity of 72% velocity of light, and the fuel is artificial sun with temperature of 666 into 10 to the power 666,000 degrees Celsius. And what is the freezing point? The freezing point is 666 into 10 to the power negative 666,000 degrees Celsius. Well, and here is our achievement. Well, here is our freezing points. And there we can say the technical the capability of car would be the technical 100%. Okay. And it is the merit to manufacture a car. Well, and that supported by capitalism. Yeah, capitalism is the best policy. But after 18% educational GST, we have to say communism is best policy because here we can manufacture a car with a velocity of 300 km per hour with a fuel as a petrol. Well, and here annual net, and that is the evil effect on Mukesh Ambani. Well, and here civil UPSC with science stream, here 6 grandson would contain 144% as GST on education. UPSC, civil UPSC educations as constructions or business bureaucracy. Well, here and the 30% is annual income. 30% is annual income. In the points, Mukesh Ambani has to pay 1,078 billion United States dollars as GST on sociological education. Okay. Sociological education, and that is the negative points. Well, that to pay the combined of income tax and the GST on UPSC education for his 6 grandsons, he have to receive 9 times loan than his annual income. And here you can see uh, for the UPSC exams, you can see sometimes Indian economy can be collapsed. Well, and then when we can say when Donald Trump said Indian economy as dead economy, why we Indians are angry Donald Trump and addressing Donald Trump as enemy of India? Well, when the real enemy of India is Nirmala Sitharaman. Okay, I think our dream for 3 hours video would be collapsed. Because the content of the segments is complete in here, and the next it has been shoot on 12 o'clock. As afternoon 3 o'clock, that means 3 years later, perhaps we would be at the live stream to expose Khushbu Patani as a fake Indian army officer. Well, the video is end as well.